What's up, LEGO fans? It's the LEGO Link here, and welcome back to another LEGO review. In today's video, we're taking a look at set 7140, the X-Wing Fighter from LEGO Star Wars. This set includes 263 pieces and 4 minifigures, if you count R2-D2 as a figure, and released all the way back in 1999, along with the first wave of LEGO Star Wars sets that were ever produced. This means this is the first X-Wing Fighter and a series of a lot more that would come afterward, since this ship is such an iconic part of Star Wars. So yeah, this is the one that started it all, and we can see how it's all started out and how things would change eventually as LEGO got more modern techniques. This set was only $30 back in the day. Probably have been like a $50 set today, like if LEGO released it. Anyways, it's about $50 used and $260 sealed to get this set, since it's so old. And yeah, it's often considered by many as like one of the first LEGO sets, because obviously it came out with the first wave of LEGO Star Wars sets, and it was kind of one of the first shown because it was on the back of the Toy Fair exclusive box thing, whatever you want to call it. Looking down the back, we can see some alternate builds, which they don't really do anymore for LEGO Star Wars, of course, which is kind of sad. I do like the alternate builds. They just encourage more creativity for LEGO builders. Now here's the instruction manual. It's pretty big, and yeah, it's different from nowadays. It has the design of the box basically on the front, and they have this blue background for most of the instruction manual. And then if we flip to the back, we can actually see some comics for this, which is pretty cool. I think they even have like a Zillow Beast, which Clone Wars was even out by this point. And they have, of course, more alternate builds. I just like how this instruction booklet, which is almost like, it's 25 years old, is better than most instruction booklets we get nowadays. Like, you get the comics, alternate builds. It just, I don't know why they don't do it anymore. So the first figure we have in this set is Luke Skywalker, of course. And he's in his X-Wing outfit, so this is the first ever X-Wing Luke figure. It's pretty simple, no leg printing, bit of torso printing to show that pilot outfit. He does come with a lightsaber with a chrome hilt, which is pretty cool, but he never even uses the lightsaber in the movie except for training. Then this nice printed helmet with the Rebel logo and some more design to make it look like his, and then the Luke face that was used back in 1999 for all the Lukes. It's a pretty simple figure, but effective in this era. We also get Pilot Biggs Darklighter in this set, which we haven't surprisingly got to this day. It's the only figure of him. Hopefully they get him remade soon. He includes the same torso and legs as Luke, this generic face with a mustache, which I mean, does look like him to be fair. And then this nice printed helmet with the checkered flag design of his in the movie. And yeah, it's overall just a pretty great figure. Hope to see him remade in modern LEGO though. So we get a generic Rebel mechanic guy. He has tan legs, this torso with a bit of printing to show like a jacket, and then this face that was used in a lot of other classic LEGO themes with this smiley mustache, stubble, some hair, and then he comes with a tan cap. But it's nice to have for this old set. So we also get R2-D2, the old style in this set, and he's a pretty generic figure as well. He obviously uses the same mold today, but this printing is way different. It only goes around like the top half of the head, so it looks a bit squished, and then he has some on the torso as well, but it's a nice figure to have to put in your X-Wing. We get the side build of a Rebel like transport cart in this set, and basically comes in 3 sections. So the first section is obviously the main controls, and you can have the Rebel engineer or technician stand in the front here and control it with the levers. And then there's a few things here. There's these yellow things, which are like the things that help guide the X-Wings, I guess. And then there's these 2x4s, I guess, just some crates or whatever. And then it's connected to this other cart, which is just a platform for characters to sit on, so you can have them transport around by this by sitting. And then the last thing is this tool shack or whatever. So full set of tools on both sides from like the generic Lego tool thing. And then there's a hose connected at the back, which you can connect to the X-Wing as well. But it's nice to get this little side build that you can have to populate your X-Wing scene. So here's the X-Wing, and it is pretty small compared to X-Wings. I guess some are generally bigger, but I mean this was $19.99, and then we had 263 pieces in the set. So it's kind of comparable to probably the X-Wing that's coming out this year. Anyways, one of the most striking things you probably notice is that it's made of gray instead of white. And yeah, they did this with the snow speeder as well. Check out that review, by the way. And it works fine, but it just kind of looks a bit off since it's supposed to be white. But yeah, let's take a look at each part of the ship. So you might notice there's these landing gears. And the thing with these is that they are supposed to be detachable. So the first one is like hockey ski with a few stuff attached for the front, so it gets held up. And then this thing at the back with this giant piece. It's kind of weird though how they have just studs attached instead of like a tile or whatever, and nowadays they just have it with like a Technic axle. But yeah, these are the landing gear for the set. Alright, at the front we get this nice printed piece, which you don't see printed pieces in Lego Star Wars sets nowadays. We also have this detachable or hinge right here, which reveals a chamber where you can put Luke's lightsaber or whatever. And then there's a lot of red lining around the ship, obviously because it's the Red Squadron. And then it leads up to the cockpit here. So at the cockpit we have a lot of tan pieces outlining it, and there's this nice printed Rebel tile on top. And then we have the nice windshield piece, which was used in a lot of other X-Wings. So it's connected to some hinges so it can hinge up. And inside you can see there's about 3 studs space to fit your character in. There's also a tile either side, some printed tiles, and there's also a printed tile up front. If you can kind of see in there, it shows the camera for the Trent, which is pretty cool. It might be better if I remove this part. So yeah, you can see there's kind of the camera for the trench in there. Pretty nice little pretty cool little detail. Now at the back of the ship, we have another one of those printed tiles. And then we have 2 jumper studs plus a tile here. And this is the spot where you can place R2-D2 in. So if we just take him, he fits right in there. With no difficulties. You just have to adjust it slightly. Okay, let me just... Okay, go in there, R2. There you go. So yeah, he fits in there right behind the cockpit, which is pretty accurate to the movie. The only thing I don't like is how there's just weird gaps either side, so you can kind of see his legs. Like, they're just the side of the ship. It's just kind of weird. And then at the back, we have another hinge plate where you can open it up, put something in there, and some tiles. And then we have another printed tile at the back, and some slope pieces. So yeah, the wings are all connected by these hinge pieces, same as the cockpit. And they're all pretty much the same design, just flipped on either side. So they all have this giant engine piece and a couple of these round pieces with the orange one at the back to show the exhaust. And then the 2 top wings have this nice printed tile with 5 red markings to show the ship as Red 5, I guess. And then each of the sides also has this nice gun piece with the dish and cone at the top to show like the guns on the side of the X-Wing. And then the bottom wings aren't as detailed, just a few tiles, that's all. So yeah, you can hinge these down to create the iconic S-foil attack position. These ones, the top ones do go a bit far, so it looks a bit weird. So you have to make sure you have them at the right spot. And now you have the X-Wing look. You can adjust them however you want. So now it's in the attack position, and you can fly it around and whatever. It's just, I don't think this works as well. The hinges, and would they use like rubber bands and gears nowadays to do it? It doesn't work as well in my opinion, because they kind of just go back into normal position and they're a bit clunky to move around, but it still works well for back in the day. And you can see a few pieces kept falling off, which is another thing that happens with these old sets. But that's just how the designs were made back in the day. No, you can't really blame Lego. They were kind of struggling back then. I wouldn't say struggling, but they didn't have all the design techniques they have nowadays. So yeah, but you can see how the first X-Wing was a bit more clunky, blocky, whatever you want to say. And nowadays it's more sleek. The mechanics for the wings have been changed so it works better. And the only bad thing is they don't use printed tiles anymore, even though they use them for this. So that's just one downgrade you can see. But yeah, let's take a look at the set with everything included. Overall, I kind of like the design for this X-Wing. And overall, it did pave the way for Lego Star Wars sets to come in the future. The figures obviously are lacking, but they also paved the way for figures coming in the future as well. And we still haven't gotten another big Dark Lighter, so this is the only one there is out there. Probably give this set, like, honestly, an 8 out of 10. It's kind of a cool set to have, since it's just so old, and you get to see the history of how Star Wars Lego started. And yeah, if you want to check out some other old Lego Star Wars sets reviews, I've done some on the channel already, and there'll be more coming in the future, so make sure to subscribe for those, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye!